Hi, I'm Bryan Lionman. We're here to talk about the Creation Audio Lab's MW1 Studio Tool. It's co-designed with world-renowned producer and engineer Michael Wagner, so you know it's going to sound good. Now, the MW1 is an ultra-high-end reamplifying device and transformerless DI. Today, I'm going to be using the Gibson Les Paul with some PAF pickups into the Somatone Roaring 20 to give you an idea of what it can do and how it sounds. The MW1 has many useful tone-shaping features. Let's start at the input. First, let's talk about the side of the MW1 that's going to your amplifier. After you go into the input jack, which is also duplicated on the back, as are all the other quarter-inch jacks. If you see it on the front, it's on the back, so you can set it up however you can use it best. Now, the first thing you're going to see is the variable input Z, the variable input impedance. It's going to go from a low input impedance, which is going to make your instrument or input sound very warm, kind of dark, all the way up to a very high input impedance, which is going to really open up the sound and make it sound really pristine and bright. So you can use that, depending on what you've got plugged into it, to go from and that's not a tone knob, that's not any type of EQ, that's strictly by varying the impedance going into the box. Next over, we've got the tuner output. Again, it's duplicated on the back, followed by the silent mute. When you hit the mute on, it silences everything except for the tuner output, so you can tune and not bother the producer. Now after the mute section, we've got the 0 to 30 dB clean boost. Now that's going to take your guitar into an amp, for this example, from this to this. Now after the clean boost, we've got the variable output Z. Now the variable output Z can ideally be used to, say, drive long cable lines going from maybe the control room out to the amp room, but that way you're not losing anything in that long cable run. But you can also use it in conjunction with both the variable input Z and the clean boost to access tones you've never been able to get before. Now after using the variable input impedance, the clean boost, and the variable output impedance to get the perfect sound going to the amplifier you're using to track with, the signal is also going to be going out the ultra clean transformerless DI. Now after coming through the variable input Z, that signal is going to go over here, and you've got 0 to 30 dB to get the perfect clean level going to your record device, so that later you can re-amplify it and use a different amplifier, different sound, different effect, whatever you choose, but you're not totally locked in to the original amplifier you recorded with. The DI also has a polarity reverse switch on the front, as well as a pin 1 lift on the back for the XLR output to deal with ground loops. So that's the tracking side of the box, both going to the amplifier and the DI going out to your recording device. Now think about this, it's also very useful even if you're not tracking as a live tool, because you can get a sound out of your amplifier in a live situation that you've never had a chance to get before. So you've got the perfect take with a great amp sound, but you've also got that perfect take clean, so now you can re-amplify that signal into a different amplifier to get a different flavor, maybe to layer, or maybe once you got to the mix, that first amp just didn't sit in there with everything else. Well, what you do, you'd bring that track back in, and you could step it down from pro level back down to amp level, and again, you have a variable output Z, so whatever type of input stage you're going to, you've now got control over what type of signal reaches that input. Now, just as with the balanced line XLR DI output, the balanced line input also has a pin 1 lift, in case you're encountering a ground loop problem, as well as a polarity reverse switch. And it also has the variable output Z, so that after you use the 0 to 30 dB attenuation, you can now match the output impedance to the following input impedance stage to get a perfect tone in the next amplifier. Now, besides the pin lifts on both the input and output balanced XLRs, you also have a chassis ground lift. Additionally, each of the labels over the various jacks are actually backlit, so if it's in a dark rack, you can actually see what you're plugging into. Now, when you buy your MW1, you're going to get this card that shows you all the signal paths, as well as a number of different hints and tips for ways to hook up your MW1. So that's just a quick overview of the MW1 Studio Tool from Creation Audio Labs and Michael Wagner. As you can see already, it's going to give you options and control over your sounds that you've never had before. And it can be used for playing live, for recording, for re-amplifying signals later, and it's not just for guitar or bass. It's for any signal that you can get into it. So we know you'll enjoy it when you get it. Go make some music.